What's good, everybody, and welcome to an episode of the Amatelic TIS podcast with your host, yours truly, Jai Shields, here on this Monday, May the 5th, the year 2025. Happy 21st birthday to my younger brother, my best friend, has made a few appearances on this show, friend of the show, the one and only Ian Shields. Happy 21st birthday to he. 21 years ago at 9:40 in the morning on a Wednesday, on a spring morning in 2004, a star was born by the name of Ian E. Shields. 21st birthday for him. So happy birthday to him. Congratulations to my brother, who is now officially an adult, reaching that 21 years of age threshold. He's old enough to drink legally, old enough to smoke legally, cigarettes, cigars, and weed alike. Old enough to gamble his ass off on the Seattle Seahawks over-under number for the 2025 season. And knowing him, how much he hates the San Francisco 49ers, he's going to lay a bushel of his cash that he makes at his two jobs that he holds down. He's going to bet the under for the San Francisco 49ers in 2025 with him, knowing how much he cannot stand the San Francisco 49ers. And he put a parlay, and he texts me. Now keep in mind, this is about at like 8 o'clock in the morning on a Monday. He's been not even technically 21 years of age yet because of him being born at 9:40 in the morning. And he says, you know what, Jai, how do you like this parlay? What do you think? The Jason Tatum scored 20 or more points. Jalen Brunson scored 20 or more points. Karl Anthony Towns scored 20 or more points. The Knicks money line, the over at 212 and a half, and Jalen Brunson to score the first basket. That's plus 555 odds. I'm like, Ian. You realize that if you bet Brunson to score the first basket and Mikal Bridges or Kristaps Porzingis scores the first basket of the night, your bet is essentially null and void 5, 10, 15 seconds into the game. But the young grasshopper, he will learn from the many flubs and mistakes and missteps and bad beats that yours truly has been a victim to over the years. But he's young. He's only been 21 for all about, 3 hours? He'll learn. But a happy birthday to Ian nevertheless. We got a good show here for you today. We have the Clippers and the Rockets and their Game 7 losses over the weekend, obviously, which I'll get to. Pacers winning Game 1 of their series against Cleveland Cavaliers. We got 3 second-round series that have yet to tip off. As of, Monday afternoon, the Knicks and the Celtics, Nuggets and the Thunder, Wolves and the Warriors. I get to the weekend disaster that was my 2025 Baltimore Orioles. What else is new? And obviously, Bill Belichick, as promised, I gave you my commentary on he before we say goodbye. Let us begin. And the real theme of this show, if you will, the theme of this show is more or less deja vu / Groundhog's Day. You know, it's the same day, different in terms of the same sequence of events, but different day on the calendar, different date, different time. It's Groundhog's Day. Whether it be the Orioles still getting in their own way with Brandon Hyde just being an absolute pathetic moron and just a clueless buffoon as a manager, as I said, as promised, I'll get to later on. Or you want to talk about the NBA and the Clippers and the Rockets. Same old song and dance, whether it be James Harden's performance in Game 7s, if it's with the Rockets, if it's with the Clippers, if it's with the Oklahoma City Thunder, and then obviously with the Rockets, you know, they are to Steph Curry what the Chicago Bears were to Aaron Rodgers for over a decade and a half. You know, they own them. You know, they are to Steph Curry and the Warriors what the Toronto Raptors were to LeBron James once upon a time. So let's start there, and let's go with the Clippers first because they had their Game 7 was first on Saturday night, and boy, what an absolutely underwhelming and dreadful performance from the LA Clippers. And listen, for all of you James Harden stands out there, you know who you are. All you James Harden stands out there, it's about time you guys face facts, face the music, and realize that your guy is not that guy. And the fact that they were even conversations of James Harden being on the level as an all-time great with the levels of the likes of Dwayne Wade and Jerry West, said by some, is absolutely preposterous. When I'm about to read you his stat line in his last 5 elimination games. Okay, this guy is not a patch, not a pimple, not a zit, not a piece of lint on Jerry West, God rest his soul, or Dwayne Wade's ass. He's not a patch or a piece of lint on their asses. James Harden in his last 5 elimination games, going back to 2021, and I can go deeper than that, which I will a little bit later on. But in his last 5 elimination games, Game 7 against Milwaukee in 2021, 22 points, 5 of 17 from the field, 2 of 12 from 3, 4 turnovers. Game 6 against Miami, 2022, 11 points, only took 9 shots, 4 of 9 from the field, 3 of 7 from 3, 4 turnovers. 2023, Game 7 against Boston, 9 points, 3 of 11 shooting the basketball, 5 turnovers. That was in Game 7 of 2023. 2024, Game 6 against Dallas, 16 points, 5 of 16 from the field, a big old goose egg in the three-point shooting column, 0 for 6 with 13 assists. Bravo, fabuloso. And then on Saturday night, 7 points, only took 8 shots, was 2 of 8 no less, 1 of 4 from 3, 13 assists. James Harden is not clutch. He is not an all-time great basketball player. And to make matters worse, he had the temerity, the audacity, the arrogance, the chutzpah, and the unmitigated gall to not meet with the media after the game. So this is James Harden, who when he put up clunkers earlier in this series in games, 2, 3, 4, and 5, if I'm not mistaken, put up clunkers in those consecutive games early in the series, did not meet the media after his piss-poor performance in Game 7 on Saturday. That is absolutely, unequivocally unacceptable. When you play like shit, you face the music. I don't give a shit who you are, how much money you make. I don't care how many rings you have. When you shit the bed, you face the music. And when it has become as big of a trend in James Harden's career as it has been, and as I just documented, and those are just in his last 5 elimination games. I got more for you. Hang on. Just let me set the table for you right quick, because I can go deeper than 2021. Trust me on that. When you're James Harden and nobody cares about his fabulous regular season performances on a Sunday night in February, and nobody cares against the Sacramento Kings or against the Phoenix Sun. Nobody is interested. Nobody. He is a regular. Let's call it the way we see it and call it for what it is. James Harden is a regular season basketball player. He can get you to the postseason, but once he gets you to the postseason, Jack, you're on your freaking own. You're on your own. He is a regular season basketball player. That's who he has been. That's who he always will be. You go through his numerous amounts of stops. Every single place that he went, he came up small in Oklahoma City. He came up small in Houston. He came up small in Brooklyn. He's come up small many a time with the LA Clippers. Changed coaches, got different coaches fired. Kenny Atkinson, Steve Nash, Mike D'Antoni. It is obscene how many people James Harden has screwed over throughout his NBA career. He has gotten a laundry list of coaches and executives, too, I might add, fired at one point in time or another at his beck and call. And these franchises have repeatedly gone out of their way to accommodate James Harden, to make his life easier, to make his life simpler. do whatever they can to predicate to him so he can be on the team, productive, happy, and satisfied, so he can play his best ball to guide his employers to an NBA championship. And at one time in OKC, in Houston, Brooklyn, or Los Angeles, has he come close to coming through on his end of the bargain? And at some point in time, he has to be and must be held accountable for that, because enough is a freaking enough. For him to put up the clunker that he did in Game 7 on Saturday night, on top of the bevy of clunkers he put up earlier in the series, for him to put up those stinkers, given his resume, given his regular season accomplishments, for him to blow off the media is you can sit up here and say he doesn't owe the media anything. You can say that to the cows come home. That's not the point here. The point is not about the media. The point is about accountability and holding one to a standard. And the old colloquialism, as much is given, much is required. When James Harden drops his 40, when James Harden drops his triple-double, when he's shooting the lights out of the building in a regular season game against Phoenix or a regular season game against Sacramento, or when he comes east and he humiliates his former team in the Brooklyn Nets, he'll be in the cameras so the cows come home. Look at me, James Harden. The Instagram stories, the Instagram posts will go viral. You can't get him out from in front of a microphone or out from in front of a camera. When everything, a little bit like Aaron Rodgers to a less extent, although Aaron Rodgers, to his credit, when he plays like shit, he finds a camera and finds a microphone and just, he faces the music. To Aaron Rodgers' credit, but they both have that front-running personality about them as competitive professional athletes, where when everything is sugar and spice and everything nice, you swear that they just won the Mega Millions. They're in front of a camera, in front of a microphone. They're smiling. They're arrogant. They walk with a little extra pep in their step. They're in their groove. They're in their element. But when things get off kiltered, when things don't play out the way that I envisioned in their head during the game, when Aaron Rodgers would play these games where he goes 21 of 40. Those for 212 and one interception or zero interceptions, but 0 touchdown passes. And they score, 10, 13 points through 3 quarters. But the game is still there to be won. Clams up. James Harden, the same thing. When he's not dropping 35, when he's not dropping 40, and he's shooting, like I said, I read it to you one more time, when he's shooting 5 of 16, 2 of 8, 3 of 11, 4 for 9. And you're saying, when is James Harden going to step up, prove himself to be the alpha dog, and drag his team out from the abyss and come hell to high water, find a way to win his team the game when he doesn't play his best game? Similar like we saw with Steph Curry last night. Steph Curry didn't play his best game. Steph Curry wasn't his typical Game 7 elite of the elite self last night, where he was shooting the lights out of the building right from the opening tip and dropped 35, 40 points and just beat the Rockets into a pulp right from the opening quarter. No. Steph Curry, 4 of 10 from 3, shot 8 of 16. Shot 50%, but only took 16 shots. Only made 4 threes last night. Scored 22 points. Was it an all-time classic Steph Curry playoff performance? Absolutely not. But you know what Steph Curry was able to do? He was able to compartmentalize his poor first half, his poor first 3 quarters of the game, or his substandard first half, first 3 quarters of the game by the great Steph Curry's standards. Because, I would take 8 of 16, 40% from 3, 22 points in a heartbeat. But I've never played in the NBA, let alone am I one of the all-time greatest players in the history of the sport, and Wardell Stephen Curry. I'm not him. So that is a bad game by his standards. To an average Joe, you'd sign up for that in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. But the point being, Steph Curry did not have an all-time great game to start nor to finish by his standards. But did he let that distract him? Did he let that get into his head? Did he let that discourage him from making necessary adjustments, getting that dog, that alpha dog, that fire within his belly, that scrappiness within his belly? Did that steer him off of channeling that and doing whatever he was willing to do, humanly possible, to make a positive contribution to help his team win? You could say that about Steph Curry. He did not let his poor start and the thumb injury deter him from getting the damn job done. No matter what it takes, no matter what his line on the box score looks like. He was hell-bent on not losing that game last night. And that's what makes Steph Curry Steph Curry. And that's what makes James Harden James Harden. When James Harden puts up stinkers, when he puts up playoff clunkers, especially in elimination games, it's like, it is what it is. Wasn't meant to be. I played like shit. What you gonna do? And then he clams up, goes into a shell, and you don't see from him or hear from him until the training camp of next year. That's who he's always been. That's who he always will be. He's been like that for the longest. And I don't know what it's going to take for you James Harden stands and Glazers out there to see that and realize that. Because this is who he is. He's been in the league too long. He's too old, too deep into his career where, the old Maya Angelou line, when somebody shows you who they are, you believe them the first time. Not the last time, not the third time, not the 15th time, not the 7th or the 8th or the 9th or the 10th or the dozenth time, the first time. You believe him the first time. When James Harden has shown you time and time again who he is as a basketball player, especially in this time of the year, you believe him. You take him at his word, what he says, what he doesn't say, and more importantly, his play on the hardwood. You take it at that so you know what you're going to expect from him. You know what you're going to expect from him. It's been the story of his career for well over a decade. And I don't know what the hell it's going to take for you all out there that are slow on the uptake to realize this. James Harden, 0 rings, 0 finals MVPs. Dwayne Wade, 3 rings, 1 finals MVP. And don't make me pull up Jerry West's stats. 3 Clippers losses, and he doesn't meet with the media not one time. That's a joke. Again, not that he is obligated to the media, because he isn't. He is obligated to himself and to the fan base, because this is ridiculous. That's who he is obligated to. He's not obligated to do the media any favors. He's obligated to do the Clipper fan the favor. Because I know getting to those games is a pain in the ass, and the tickets are not cheap. And this is what? The 4th or the 5th team that he's fucked over in the span of the last, 12 years. Enough's enough. When you play like shit and you're one of the primary culprits of your team losing in a playoff series, you got to face the music after the game. It would be one thing if he didn't speak like Marshawn Lynch didn't speak to him at all. After wins, after losses, no different. I ain't talking to Wes. One thing if he was like that, but he's not like that. When he loses, he exits stage left. And that proves that James Harden is mentally weak, soft as hell, and a damn front runner. And the sooner you guys realize that, if you haven't already, the better. I can also go, again, 2020, he scored 17 points against OKC, was 4-15 from the field. Yeah, he scored 32 points in 2018 against Golden State in a Game 7, but he took 29 shots that night. 2011, he scored 17 points on 10 shots, only was 6 of 10. He's 3-3 in Game 7s, averaging 38% shooting from the field and only 21 points, which is fine and dandy if James Harden averages about 21 points in the regular season, consistently at his peak. But we all know James Harden circa 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 could drop 30, 35, 40 points in his sleep. Prolific scorer in the regular season. Excellent. But postseason, he always falls apart. Once the month of May hits, the real James Harden comes out. Deja vu. Over and over and over and over and over again. And I don't know when you James Harden stands going to get it. He is a regular season production and a postseason failure. Who lacks accountability, lacks mental toughness, lacks a championship gene of a certain scrappiness that an all-time, Dwayne Wade all-time, Jerry West all-time, the all-time great player has to have in order to be great, in order to win championships, in order to win playoff series. He lacks that. He always has, and he always will. And he has gone out of his way and has ran coaches, executives, sometimes even players out of town, every which way at a bevy of locations. Houston, OKC, Brooklyn, list goes on. And every single time he's come up small, he's found another person to pin the blame on. Now is the time that James Harden looks himself dead in the mirror. Hard eye contact with himself, and says these following words: I am the problem. The common denominator every place he's been has been him. Not his coaches, not his coaching staff, not his teammates. Common denominator is him. Him. Everywhere he goes, he finds a way to fuck it up in the postseason. The common denominator is him. And until he realizes that and points blame squarely in the direction of himself, the same hamster wheel of playoff failure will continue until either he retires or his play regresses to a point due to Father Time being undefeated where he won't even reach these stages anymore to come up small. Whichever one comes first. So, James Harden, deja vu number 1. Deja vu number 2, like I referenced in my Harden monologue, Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors. They always find a way. Now, you guys know I don't like to root for the dynasties. I didn't like Houston. I couldn't take the Houston Astros. I couldn't take rather the Golden State Warriors. I always rooted against them. Always rooted for Cleveland when they played LeBron and them on it was an annual basis from 2015 to 2018. I rooted like hell for the Toronto Raptors in 2019. So I have never rooted for the Golden State Warriors. And once upon a time, I couldn't stand Steph Curry. I just the 3-point shot. He was like a human cheat code in the game. I couldn't stand it. I felt he was so good where it felt like it was unfair. You guys know me. I'm Mr. Contrarian. Everyone loves Patrick Mahomes. Before the rivalry with my Bengals became a thing, who was on these airways that was telling you about how much he couldn't stand Patrick Mahomes and going out of his way to root against them at Kansas City Chiefs? It was me. So that's just the way. That's just the way that I've always been. But in fairness to him, in fairness to the Golden State Warriors, they're a good basketball team. And I said it before, and I'll say it again. Their front office and their ownership deserves a hell of a lot of credit for extending their championship contending window for as long as humanly possible. And this is in a salary cap sport, too. They've been able to extend their window this long. And they have also, not pissed off or at least had close calls with their trademark talent in the process in Green and Curry. Not one time did you ever hear rumblings of Steph Curry, holding out, heading into a training camp, threatening not to play. You never heard not an inkling of the sort in what, these 11 seasons, 11, 12 seasons going on. So they deserve that front office. And I was on record. I can't remember what specific show it was, but I do remember being on here saying, you know what, the Golden State Warriors need to bite the bullet, realize the championship window is closed. They're a lot older team now. They need a larger assortment of young talent. They need to rebuild. Go ahead, ship off Steph Curry, see whatever you can get back for him, trade him to a contender, get some picks back, rebuild, and just go ahead with embracing the next era of Golden State Warriors basketball, sans Steph Curry. I can't remember what show it was, what year, what month, I can't remember, but I do recall on this show saying, among other things, the Golden State Warriors need to trade Steph and rebuild. And to their credit, they stuck to their guns, saw the forest through the trees, and now have themselves in a situation where, with the Clippers and the Lakers gone, they could find their way to an NBA Finals as a 7th seed. They could. They could. Them versus Minnesota will be a very, very, very tough matchup, which I'll get to later on. But they could find a way to make it to a conference finals at the bare bones minimum. Because, yes, we all know how great Oklahoma City is, but sometimes we know, and this series was case in point, Golden State was the 7th seed, the Rockets were a 2 seed. Playoff experience in the NBA playoffs, especially the deeper the series goes, we saw with the Knicks and the Pistons a few days ago, it matters. It matters. You need some young bulls that are not going to choke and collapse and wither under the bright light of a game 7, or are not going to collapse under the pressure of an elimination game or of a closeout. You got to have guys on your team. And who better than Steph, Draymond, and playoff Jimmy and Jimmy Butler? Who better? Which is why, if they ever were fortunate to get into Western Conference Finals with Oklahoma City, I would have a hard time picking Oklahoma City to win the series less than in any time span shorter than 6 games, because the experience piece matters. The experience, especially the deeper into the playoffs you go, experience becomes more and more and more and more and more important, especially when you're looking at Steph, who's a 5-time NBA. No, does he? No, he's got 5 championships, I believe. Yeah, because LeBron has 4, he has 5. Yeah, you look, a 5-time champion, one of the greatest shooters in the history of the NBA. Draymond Green is also a 5-time champion, and Jimmy Butler, albeit not a champion, but he, like Jamal Murray, always has a nose for the playoff dramatics and always finds a way to bring his team home. He hadn't won a champion. He's done everything but win a championship in the NBA playoffs. And to Golden State's credit, they are a mentally tough, They're a physically tough basketball team too, but they're a mentally tough, well-coached basketball team that always finds a way to dig deep and win these type of games, as we saw last night. Steph Curry has a bad night shooting the basketball in the first half. You honestly, with that, you could ask him behind closed doors. Probably wasn't feeling all that great. 100%. He most likely was not. Injury with the thumb, a whole 9 yards. Got kind of off to now they got off to a good lead, but they weren't playing their brand of Golden State Warriors basketball. We saw bevy of times throughout the sequence of the game last night of Houston coming within 10, 9, 6, 5 points. They didn't play their classic trademark brand of Golden State Warriors basketball to about 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter, which is ironically when Steph Curry turned it on. But what does a championship basketball team do when their backs are against the wall on the road in an elimination game, even if they're winning? You know what a great championship basketball team does? The others find a way to contribute when their stars, for whatever the reason, are not playing their perfect ideal game. Enter Buddy Hield, who absolutely did a sensational job of putting his team on his back. 12 to 15, only missed 3 shots all night, 9 of 11 from 3, scored a whopping 33 points and a magnificent Game 7 performance on the road. And sometimes that's what a championship team needs when their stars don't perform as great as you anticipate. You need the Buddy Hields of the world to step up and show out and put together a career performance in an elimination game, especially on the road, being a Game 7. You need that. Teams that are able to have the others, the quote-unquote glue guys, step up and pick up the slack when the stars aren't playing their best, those are the teams that go far and play deep into the month of May in the NBA. He played an absolutely sensational basketball game last night. Took great shots, got a bevy of open looks, was absolutely magnificent. Magnificent. And another takeaway, I got from the game the other night, the Houston Rockets are a very immature basketball team. From when the game being out of reach, Fred VanVleet pushing Jimmy Butler in the back. I mean, that was a dirty, unnecessary. It was just an immature, sloppy, egregious play. It just was. Now we can quibble whether or not it was worthy of an ejection. Quite frankly, I mean, what does it do? He starts his summer vacation about a half hour earlier than everybody else. I don't really, get caught up in the machinations of him, whether it was worthy of an ejection or not. The game was out of reach. The game was over. That's why he did it in the first place. But that throwing in the pissing matches that they got with the likes of Jimmy Butler and Draymond Green, especially throughout the course of this series in between whistles, especially in that game 5 or in that game, not game 5. And I think it was either game 5 or it was game 5. It was last Wednesday. Yeah, game 5. So whether it was that, stuff like that, when you're trying to dethrone, I don't care if they're the 7th seed, the 8th seed, or the 10th seed in the fucking play-in tournament. When you're playing up against a basketball team that's got more experience, more cachet, a better player or players, plural, not to mention they got the good old-fashioned hardware sitting on their mantle to prove their greatness, you can't be going out of your way to, wipe my nose. The allergies here are just, it's fucking out of control in this state. I can't wait till it's over. These allergies are just impossible to deal with. But when you go up against a team that has the resume and the cachet and the rings that the Golden State Warriors do, you can't be, when you're a young whippersnapper team, yeah, cute. You won your 52 games. Congratulations. You were the 2 seed. And what? And where's Dylan Brooks' rings? Fred VanVleet is the only one that got that's it. But in due respect to Fred VanVleet, he's a role player. He's not a superstar. He's not a superstar on a championship basketball team. If he played on the Boston Celtics, he'd be coming off the bench. Coming off the bench. Due respect. So you can't afford to be getting into these extracurricular sideshows, trying to play the game within the game against teams like Golden State. You're fighting an uphill battle, especially when that team has Draymond Green. You're fighting an uphill battle. So you're better off just keeping your head down, minding your business. Don't go out of your way to piss them off, and just play your brand of basketball, minus the foolishness. And the Rockets couldn't help themselves. Dillon Brooks and his goofy antics. VanVleet, like I said, pushing Jimmy Butler in the back. All that goofy shit is not what championship basketball teams do. It's not what championship basketball teams do. Now, they're a young team on the come up. They'll learn from it, but that's not what championship basketball teams do. Point blank, period. That's not what they do. That's not what they do. And they played right into Golden State's hands, hook, line, and sinker. And like I said, the greatness of Steph Curry, first half scores 3 points, 1 of 7 from the field, 1 of 6 from 3. Second half scores 19 points, 7 of 9 from the field, 3 of 4 from beyond the arc. Played right into their hands, hook, line, and sinker. They'll learn and know better next time, but it's just I don't understand when young teams, not just in the NBA but across all sports, specifically in basketball and football, because both teams are on the field at the same time. Baseball's different, one batter versus one pitcher, and 8 spectators out there in the field with the glove in the hand. But I never understand in baseball and basketball when you have a young team had a good regular season that's going up against an experienced team, a lot of times with the hardware to prove their experience, that maybe didn't have as great of a regular season in comparison as the young team did, and they think that they're going to essentially, bully the team that's already been there before and that's got the T-shirts and the battle scars. It behooves me when young, immature, on the come-up rising teams do that. It boggles my mind when I see it in the NBA and when I see it in football, in the NFL. I can't wrap my mind around it. Because it's like, what? Because you had the better regular season per se, you necessarily think that in a vacuum you have what it takes to win a championship compared to those that's already done it before? It's like stuff like that. It doesn't compute for me. Doesn't compute for me. But an embarrassing performance from the Houston Rockets, nevertheless, highlighted by a disgusting game played by Jalen Green. 3 of 8 from the field, 0 of 2 from 3, put up 8 points. That wasn't just the first clunker he put up in that series. This guy is not a championship basketball player by any stretch of circumstances at all. You take a look at his performance. Game 6, he won that much better. Shot 27% from the field, 17% from 3, 12 points on a night, only 5 rebounds and 3 assists. But Rich had just a bad series. Shot 36%, 20 from 3, scored 9 points in game 3, 37 and 20% from the field, 8 points in game number 4. He is not a championship basketball player by any stretch in the imagination, and he made sure that the Houston Rockets went out of the way to sure as hell pay him like one. So you wonder if they're having buyer's remorse, because that stat line, single stat line in a first round playoff series when you're the 2 seed with home court advantage is completely and utterly unacceptable. Just completely and utterly unacceptable. And again, instead of getting into pissing matches with Golden State, let's make sure we lock in and hit the gym. Make sure we're on our game so the next time we don't embarrass ourselves in front of America for a week and a half. That was some atrocious, disgusting, reprehensible NBA basketball played by the Rockets and highlighted by those awful performances from Jalen Green. I mean, you got to be better than that. You got to be better than that. That's awful. Absolutely, positively awful. So that's your theme with the deja vu and Groundhog's Day with James Harden and his former team, the Houston Rockets, getting owned by Steph Curry and Golden State one more time. To switch gears to the Eastern Conference a little bit, and the other game that was from Sunday in the Pacers and the Cleveland Cavaliers. Give the Indiana Pacers, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of credit for showing great resolve and great mental toughness in their game against the Cleveland Cavaliers yesterday. And this comes down to, from a Cavalier perspective, they did not play great defense under any stretch of circumstances. You take a look, you pull up the stats by team yesterday. I mean, the Pacers shot 53% from field collectively as a team, made 19 of 36 threes. Do the math, that punches out the 52, rounded up 0.8 to 53%. Were damn near automatic from the free throw line, only missed one free throw. Rebounds, though, were just about even, but I mean, they had 9 blocks on the night. Excuse me. Just they were magnificent offensively. And the Cleveland Cavaliers, one of their strong suits of their team throughout the course of the season, especially highlighted, now granted it was the Miami Heat, but highlighted by Miami was obviously their good defense and their suffocating defense. And that's a career high of field goal and 3-point percentage allowed all season to this point from the Cleveland Cavaliers last night, and that just cannot happen. I mean, Pascal Siakam and Naismith had 17 points. Nembhard had 23. Everybody got involved. 22, 23, 13, 17, and 17 coming from your starting five. And, oh, by the way, you had Benedict Mathurin come off the bench and in 23 minutes scored 11 points coming off the bench, 3 of 5 from 3. I mean, that is not going to get it done for the Cleveland Cavaliers going forward in this series. And if they thought so going into this series, they damn sure know now. The Indiana Pacers are by no means going to be a pushover in this series. They played in the Eastern Conference Finals last year. They got, and now granted the Knicks were banged up, so you kind of have to put a tiny asterisk next to that. But they got to an Eastern Conference Final by beating the Knicks in the semifinals last year. Halliburton played extremely well in that series. So those guys have the battle scars and have the obviously the aforementioned victories underneath their belt to prove it. Cleveland doesn't necessarily have that yet, despite the fact that we're record-wise the best team in the regular season in the Eastern Conference. So the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to have to buck up. Getting punched in the mouth at home the way that they did, coming off of those laughers against the Miami Heat. There's not the Miami Heat anymore. They're going to have to, wake up, smell the coffee, and put the big boy pants on and step up their defensive approach and be ready to hang with Indiana offensively, because I was not impressed with what I saw from the Cleveland Cavaliers last night in their Game 1 defeat. In terms of the games that have yet to tip off, let's go with the Knicks and Celtics, Nuggets and Thunder, and Warriors and Wolves. Knicks and Celtics to start. Jalen Brunson, Kate Upton want to be starting something. Celtics in 5 games. The Boston Celtics are defending champions. They get everybody involved. They, like the Knicks, occasionally fall into the bad habit of iso ball with their best player. On the Boston Celtics side, Jason Tatum, obviously, with the Knicks in Jalen Brunson. The answer is yes. But they're a better basketball team with a good bench, a deep bench. They get contributions from everybody. Pritchard, Hauser, obviously Porzingis. You can flip a coin who's going to have a big game between, obviously, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. They're a well-coached basketball team. They do when they're playing at their best, at their peak. They do everything right. They are one of the best three-point shooting teams in the NBA. I understand the Knicks can score too, but the Knicks defensively pale in comparison to what the Boston Celtics have been in the last season and two. So they got home court advantage. They every advantage 3-point shooting, the others, the collection of star players. You take Jalen Brunson, excuse me. You would take Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown over Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns. They got the better two-player tandem. They got the better coach. They got home court. I don't see how, quite honestly, the New York Knicks win a second game. I understand the Boston Celtics did not look great against the Orlando Magic last week, but they're a better basketball team. They're going to buck up and play better against the New York Knicks. They beat them like a drum in the regular season, as we highlighted during the wintertime in Madison Square Garden, at the TD Garden. They beat them like a drum. They bully Karl Anthony Towns, and when they make him go inside, they absolutely kick his ass up and down the court offensively and defensively. So that's not going to be a problem with Cat under any stretch of circumstances. They were very, very fortunate, they being the Knicks, to be even playing in this series, given how that game against the Detroit Pistons went on Thursday night. Allowing Detroit to go into these magnificent runs to get themselves back into the game when the New York Knicks were shooting the lights out of the building. They go cold, and defensively apparently went cold with it, allowed the Pistons get into the game. Kate Cunningham caught fire, everything. It's just, they're very fortunate to be here. I mean, if it not for Jalen Brunson, they'd have been in Cancun by now. It's all there is to it. Not to mention, all the way back in game number 5, with Thibodeau being half asleep, leaving Jalen Brunson on the bench in the final closing minutes and seconds of their game 5 defeat at MSG. It's just the lack of execution and the lack of adjustments coming out of the halftime locker room in that third quarter. And the third quarter has been the Knicks' kryptonite all playoffs long through the first round, and obviously it's plagued them in their peaks and valleys throughout the regular season. I just don't see how any way the New York Knicks can make this a series unless something goes catastrophically wrong for the Boston Celtics, and or Joe Mazzulla just forgets his brain and Thibodeau outcoaches him in circles. Because even if Jalen Brunson puts together an all-time series, I don't see how they lose this series. If Jalen Brunson plays out of his mind, okay, fine, the series goes 6 or 7 games. Even with that, I don't see how the Knicks win. I don't try. Now, granted, he had the crucial tip in to tie the game in the closing seconds on Thursday night. I don't see Mikal Bridges being a big factor in this series. Like I said, Karl Anthony Towns soft as hell. He hangs out at the 3-point line way too much for a guy his size. And when and if Boston forces him to make plays inside, he's going to get bullied and battered like you will not believe, as we saw throughout the regular season meetings throughout the course of the winter. It's just, I can't count on him. Josh Hart's a nice basketball player. If you got to rely on Josh Hart offensively to make big-time shots, you're going to be in trouble. So I don't see how the Knicks – I don't see how they extend this series any longer than 5 games. I really, really don't. I do not see how they extend this series past 5. Unless given Boston, puts together just a clunker of a game where they just show up to the arena and just go through the motions, and for whatever reason their play says we don't give a shit here in New York. Here's your complimentary win. Go ahead, take off and run with it. They're not on their level, talent wise, championship intangibles here and then here outside of Jalen Brunson. That doesn't apply to, but the other 4, not to mention they have no bench Thibodeau at points got out coached by J.B. Bickerstaff, who wasn't exactly Chuck Daly in their first round series either. No home court. I don't see how the New York Knicks make this a series at all. I think it could be a very entertaining series. We could get a few games, maybe 2 or 3 that come down to the wire, but pound for pound, the Boston Celtics are a better basketball team than the New York Knicks, inside and out. They have been a better basketball team than the Knicks all regular season long. And I think in a best-of-7 playoff series with a trip to the Eastern Conference Finals on the line, the Boston Celtics will prove and show their might over the New York Knickerbockers yet again here in the span of the next week and a half, 2 weeks here in the second round. The Nuggets and the Oklahoma City Thunder will be quite interesting. Championship moxie or championship pedigree, I should say, against the up-and-coming team in the Thunder. Very interesting team. The Memphis Grizzlies were not a good team under any such circumstances, and out of all the teams that won their first round playoff series, I believe the Grizzlies had the longest time off, which I think could work to their benefit. I believe only because of the fact. Now, granted, they did win in a laugher. That was a physically and mentally gruesome series, and tiresome series that the Nuggets just came out of, going up against L.A. So they could be a little tired and a little flat tonight, only getting the 1 day off in between series, which I think from an NBA scheduling perspective is absolutely preposterous. And the same applies to Golden State. Only essentially the 2 days off, and then they're right back at it against the Minnesota Timberwolves. It's just and I said it before the NBA playoffs started, and I'll say it again. The NBA playoff scheduling formula is so just messed up and just broken that they're going to have to strip it all down in order for them to fix it. But that's a separate conversation and a separate rant for a different day. But it is so bad that it's beyond comprehension at this point. But you like Denver because they have. Now, I understand how great SGA has been in the debate between Jokic and SGA for the MVP in their battle, how they fare in the best-of-7 series to be very interesting. But, I worry about Chet Holmgren being, not hung out to dry, but being exposed in the paint by Nikola Jokic. That's not a mismatch that I like in his favor in terms of physicality. I understand it could also bring in Hartenstein to make life harder on Jokic, but still, I like Jokic, the best big man in the universe. Jamal Murray, will see if his elite playoff play will carry over. Specifically, he plays just a smidgen better against teams from Los Angeles, highlighted by the Lakers and the Clippers, than against other teams. Especially against Minneapolis, as we saw last year. But I got to see him still play with that high level of intensity and physicality and level of focus against Oklahoma City, like I saw against the Clippers. If he does, I think that the Denver Nuggets should be in good hands. But with Aaron Gordon and Nikola Jokic dominating within the inside game, and then Jokic going out for 3, taking his 5 to 8 3-point shots a night, with Jamal Murray scoring, and then obviously Russell Westbrook, who's a Tasmanian devil on the basketball court. It makes the hard-nosed blue-collar plays, hustles after loose balls, sprints down the court baseline to baseline in transition, gets involved defensively, crashes the glass. He does it. Now, he keeps both teams in a game, as we've highlighted, but he does everything. He is the ultimate glue guy, which I think could be the difference maker in this series. Has a laundry, again, no ring, but like Jimmy Butler, he has as long of a list of playoff experience one could have without an NBA championship on their resume. You factor that in with obviously the former champions in Jokic and Murray. I like their chances against the Oklahoma City Thunder to make this a long series, even if they come up on the short end. I don't see how this series, regardless of who wins, I don't see how this series goes any less than 6 games. If this series ends in 5, regardless who wins, I would be very, very, very shocked and impressed by the winner if it ends up being a gentleman's sweep in 5 games. In terms of Oklahoma City, I got to see them again, similar like we saw with Houston and Golden State. Yeah, you were the better team that had the better regular season, the younger team with the up and coming young talent, but in the playoffs, experience and championship pedigree, not just what we see on the floor, but in here and in here, that matters at the end of the day. And it's going to be a nice test to see how Oklahoma City is going to carry themselves and handle themselves going against the former champions from 2 seasons ago. And like I said, with Golden State and the Timberwolves, Golden State, I think that is a even matchup there in the Western Conference because the Wolves have a little bit of that bite and that championship esque dog in them to the likes of what Golden State has. Anthony Edwards is not scared of anybody. He's not scared, obviously, like we saw last year in Kevin Durant. He's not scared of LeBron. He's not scared of anybody. And I don't anticipate him being scared of LeBron James by any stretch of circumstances. We'll see, in the interesting matchup, you would figure that they would put Jimmy Butler on Anthony Edwards going into this series. We saw the small ball offensive philosophy work out, and it paid tremendous dividends against the LA Lakers in a first round series in the last 2 weeks. We'll see how quick they go to it and how quick they abandon it against Golden State going forward, considering that Golden State, obviously, with Draymond Green, is going to be a pest and has been a thorn in Rudy Gobert's side throughout his entire career. Not to mention they have just a better defensive tenacity than the likes of the LA Lakers. That goes without saying, obviously. So I will be intrigued to see what Chris Finch's philosophy is, when to go small, and in what moments in the periods throughout the game will they go small. Because when they go small, they can shoot the lights out if you're not careful on defensive side of the basketball. But the problem is it leaves them susceptible for them to get out-rebounded. But if you're going up against the Golden State Warriors, not the LA Lakers. So what one game plan in a given playoff series, you go into one, you can't necessarily go into the other. And if they if they don't go small and have Rudy Gobert out there on the floor, you're going to force Golden State to suffocate Rudy Gobert there in the paint. And at times, it's going to force you to, or at least force Anthony Edwards specifically to have an explosive offensive series out there from the field, which will test, obviously, Jimmy Butler, and it'll test their guard play. There's no doubt about that. It'll test their guard play on the outside, putting Rudy Gobert out there on the floor because it's going to suffocate him, make sure he doesn't essentially go 20-20 like he did against Los Angeles and dare the likes of Anthony Edwards to take over the game, shooting the basketball from the inner perimeter and obviously on the outside from 3. So be very interesting to see how that series plays out. Interesting because the Minnesota Timberwolves are going to be fresh, going to be rested. Their Game 5 victory was last Wednesday. They had Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And they had a whole 5 nights of rest off. Meanwhile, the Golden State Warriors are going to have about 1-2 nights off heading into their series, playing Game 7. Now, it wasn't a white knuckler Game 7, but still a Game 7 nevertheless, with a Game 7 last night on Sunday night. They get tonight off, Monday night being 1, and then they hit the bricks in Minnesota to play Game 1 against the Timberwolves. That's a 6:30 California start, 8:30 local time start in Minneapolis. So only the one night off in between series for an older team and a banged up team with Jimmy Butler and Steph nursing the injuries that they had to throughout the course of the Rockets series. Be very interesting. I see both series in the Western Conference going deep for sure. No shorter than 6 games for both. Because I also think that the rest component plays a huge factor going into both series, especially this one with Golden State and the Timberwolves being an older team that had to play an extra game, obviously because of the play-in, nursing injuries with Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry. I see this being even if they win, I see this being a 6-7 game series at the end of the day. If you ask me who I think is going to win, I think the Warriors and the Wolves series I think is the toughest one to call out of the four. To be quite honest with you, I would say Wolves in 7, Thunder in 7, Celtics in 5, and Cleveland 6, your NBA playoff second round action coming at you throughout the course of this week. As promised, as always, taps for the LA Clippers and the Houston Rockets. We say sayonara to those basketball teams. See ya next season. The reason why I sigh and I hesitated is because now it is time for me to discuss my pathetic, disgusting, embarrassing, boring, egregiously pathetic, whatever negative adjective, fill in the blank, Baltimore Orioles. This team really, they have a PhD. This team has a PhD. This manager has a PhD in raking on my last damn nerves. It's just I don't get him. I really don't get him. So first off, before I even get into the machinations of what he did wrong, let me just give you 2 things on the surface level that I got to address. And this is will work from Saturday to yesterday's loss. This is from Saturday. Ladies and gentlemen, Jackson Holiday in the last week leading up to Saturday night's game, it was a Fox game, 7:15 against Kansas City Royals. Your penultimate meeting of within the regular season with the team that kicked your ass and knocked you out of the playoffs. Jackson Holiday in the last week is hitting 300 at the time and now over 300. Since April 16th, he is hitting 341 with a 449 on base percentage, a 561 slugging percentage, an OPS of 1010. Let me repeat, an OPS of 1010, 561 slugging, 449 on base percentage, batting average of 341. In the last week, he's hitting over 341. And yesterday, he hit not 1, but 2 home runs for the first time in his young major league career. So they have an opportunity to do something they have not done at any point this season, win back-to-back series and win 3 games in a row. Something this team has not done through 1 month and change in this decrepit season. So you get Bubic on the mound for the Kansas City Royals, a starting pitcher that has been excellent form this season and who historically has made the Orioles out to be his bitch. excuse my French, through the last handful of starts. But I should get the good old fashioned dun 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 soundbite and play it, because when I play it, that'll signify that there is a lefty on the mound. And Brandon Hyde is like that girl in the Thriller music video when Michael Jackson turns into a werewolf. You've seen that gif of her. You've seen that. That's what Brandon Hyde does when he's sitting on his ass, sipping his Diet Coke in the manager's office, and he sees that there's a lefty on the mound pitching in the upcoming game of that day. That's his reaction. Oh, lefty on the mound, which for some inexplicable, ungodly reason means Jackson Holliday cannot see the field. This same Jackson Holliday that's sitting over 300 in the span of the last 7 games. Same Jackson Holliday since April 16th is hitting .341 with an on-base percentage, slugging an OPS through the freaking roof. Same Jackson Holliday, that's this team's former first-round overall pick. First overall pick. His first full MLB season coming out of his second MLB season, 21 years of age. Guy that they have marketed, hyped, and talked about as being one of the cornerstones of this team for years to come. Who's one of the best hitters on this team. He's the 3rd best hitter. Mullins number 1, O'Hearn 2nd, Holliday 3rd. Fair to say? So the 3rd best hitter on your team, behind O'Hearn and Mullins, who's hitting the cover off the ball, who's still a young player, getting his sea legs underneath him, still learning the ropes, still finding out as he's going along, learning on the job what it takes to be a professional, productive, Major League Baseball player. Not just the off-the-field stuff, the locker room stuff, the public figure element of the job, but obviously the on-the-field, in-between the white lines element of the job. And Brandon Hyde thinks so little of his talent and thinks so little of him as a player. And he can sit up here and debate that and argue the contrary when he talks in the media all he wants. The fact of the matter is, I don't go by what you say. I go by, more importantly, what you don't say, and most importantly, what you do. He can say that he cares, but his actions tell me something else. His actions when he pencils in Jorge fucking Mateo, 9th as your second baseman against the Kansas City Royals, and a lefty starting pitcher in Bubic, who your best hitters can't hit with a 10-foot pole. His message tells me and tells you as Oriole fans and tells the baseball world that he doesn't trust Jackson Holliday to get it done against top-tier or even low-tier left-handed starting pitching. That's the message that he is communicating to his team, to Jackson, to us as fans, to the baseball world, and to the Kansas City Royals, and to whatever baseball team that's on their schedule. That is the big-ass, loud-ass message he is delivering to everybody. He can say whatever the hell he wants. That's exactly what it is. He doesn't trust Jackson Holliday to get it done against left-handed starting pitching. The good ones at that. The talented, productive ones at that. And these are the same ones that his star right-handed hitters can't touch. And he for some stupid ass backwards reason, he feels the need still in the month of fucking May to trot out Jorge Mateo every single fucking game against left-handed starting pitching, knowing good and damn well he is not a productive baseball player. He's not. He is an automatic out who can't hit. His approaches at the plate stink. One uncompetitive, feeble, embarrassing at bat after the next. He is a walking out on your scorecard. A walking out. Ground out if he makes contact, pop up if he makes contact. Otherwise, strikeout. He stinks. He is absolutely pathetic. Do I have to bring up his numbers one more time? Because I'll do it. I'll do it. He's hitting 143 on the season. I mean, listen to this. 143 on the season, an OPS of 357. He is awful. Absolutely awful. Pull up his full stats, damn it. 143 on-base percentage, 214 slugging, and an on-base percentage plus slugging of 357. And for you dorks that care about the WAR stat, he has a negative .5 WAR. He is in every single statistical facet of the game a losing baseball player. And for some stupid-ass reason, Brandon Hyde continues to punch his ass in the lineup card at second base, no less. Make it stop. Now, today, right this second. I've had enough. And for the record, 0 home runs, 0 RBIs. He's got just as many home runs and RBIs as I do, and I haven't taken an at-bat since 2017. What in the hell has he done? He must either be fucking Bernie Mac in a locker room, raps like Eminem, dances like Michael Jackson. What does he do off the field that has him in such good graces where he is an automatic starter every single time there is a human being on the mound that throws with this arm? Does he cook like Gordon Ramsay? Does he bake like Martha Stewart? What does he do? He automatically gets stapled, gets sharpied into the lineup card every single time there's a lefty on the mound starting that night or that afternoon. What does he do? Because the damn Skippy isn't hitting a damn baseball. You could throw the ball with your right foot, and he couldn't hit it. He stinks. Get his ass off the fucking team. Especially when I sat there yesterday and watched Jackson Harden hit 2 home runs yesterday. When in the year 2025 has Jorge Mateo done that for this team? The one game you can give me where he was productive at the plate, the team got shut out and got smacked around to oblivion by Tariq Skubal and the Detroit Tigers in a game a few Sundays ago in which they got swept. So you can't even give me that one. It is enough of this guy. He stinks. He is awful. He does nothing productive on the baseball field. We talk about James Harden being a losing basketball player in the postseason. Jorge Mateo is a losing baseball player. In season, regular season, postseason, preseason, off-season. He is a losing basketball player. What in the hell is it going to take for that to get through Brandon Hyde's thick-ass head of his? Jackson Holli's getting benched for this shit. You kidding me? When is enough going to be enough? How in the hell is a young player going to learn how to hit lefties if you don't give him any opportunities for him to prove himself to show you that he can hit lefties? Every single time there's a one on the mound, his ass is riding the bench. And the thing that really pisses me off is when he does it the day after the team wins and Jackson Holliday has a good game as a contributing factor. That drives me crazy. Team will win the game 5-2, 7-1, whatever. Holiday will go 2 for 5, 3 for 4, maybe hit a home run. 2-3 RBI game. Maybe forces a walk. Lefties on the mound the next day. Hyde will bench him. And then he'll go, and then the thing that really gets under my skin and pisses me off is when he goes and meets the media with his press conferences after the game, and he's got that dumbfounded John Harbaugh-esque cat that ate the canary, goofy-ass look on his face when a team gets shut out 5-0 and only racks up 3 hits and puts together only 6 or 7 base runners. Oh, we just didn't have a good at bats. We just didn't do a good job of working the pitch count and getting on base and scoring runs and hitting with scrubs. Oh shit, Brandon! I wonder why. Maybe you'd stop penciling in a bum who's hitting 143 with a 214 slugging percentage and a fucking 143 on base percentage. Maybe you'd get some fucking hits against left-handed starting pitching and maybe score more than 1 run a game. If that. It's the type of shit that pisses me off beyond to the point of beyond under reasoning and understanding. Because this is the shit I got no tolerance for. Conscientious stupidity is what Brandon Hyde practices in when he continues to keep up with this bull jive. He can't sit up here and claim ignorance. The numbers are right in front of your fucking face. How the hell do I know that? And he's the manager of the damn team getting paid to know this shit, and he somehow can't put 2 and 2 together. The shit that burns my ass, man. And he wonders why the team doesn't win. It doesn't hit lefties well. If you'd stop putting in fucking Jorge Mateo, maybe you'd be able to hit against lefties once in a while. It's just, And the thing that kills me is that he does stuff like this, and then people wonder why. Well, why do you want the manager fired? Or why do you hate Brandon Hyde so much? This shit ain't got nothing to do with Mike Elias. Now, is it Mike Elias' fault he's still on the damn roster? Yes, it is. But you shouldn't have to be Earl Weaver, or you shouldn't have to be Casey Stengel to know your team's strengths, your strong players versus your weak players and your liabilities. It's just dumb. Just dumb. Okay, yeah. Is it Elias's fault for Mateo being on the roster? Yes. But just because he's on the roster doesn't mean that Brandon Hyde has to play him. Just because he's on the roster doesn't mean they have to pay him. And it's been already noted and documented that Mike Elias and Sig Mejdal don't write the lineup cards. Brandon Hyde does. So that's not Mike Elias' responsibility to write the lineup cards. That's Brandon Hyde's responsibility. And if Brandon Hyde, whose job is to literally watch the games, study the tape, know the stats and the advanced numbers and the trends backwards and forwards inside and out, if he can, it's like I got no tolerance for that. Because that's literally what his job is in a nutshell. Know the numbers backwards and forwards, and put the best team out there on the field. Literally. You don't have to be an all-time great championship MLB manager to know this shit. It's not rocket science, people. It's not me executing how to perfectly locate a 99-mile-an-hour fastball. Not everybody can do that. But there is a multitude of baseball fans out there that have either watched the game for a significant amount of time and or played it at some level or another, little league, high school, travel ball, whatever the case might be. If you're blessed and were talented enough, college, maybe a little bit of independent ball, minor league, whatever the case might be. It does not take the creme de la creme of baseball minds to know not to bat a hitter that's hitting 143 on the season. Drives, and every single time he does it, I'm going to scream. And I'm going to continue to scream. I'm going to continue to yell and raise hell until he finally pulls his head out of his ass and stops this nonsense. Because it literally is tanking this team. Tanking it! They're 1-3 when he has, 1-9 1-3. I wish. 1-9. 1-9. This team is 1-9 when Jorge Mateo sees the field with a bat in his hand. 1-9. I'm not just making this shit up because I have a vendetta against Jorge Mateo. These are the fucking stats and the numbers and the win and the loss record. Again, how do I know this and he doesn't? They're 1-9 when he plays. 1-9 when he has a plate appearance in a given game. 1-9. What more needs to be said? When he plays, you don't win. Period. I don't give a fuck. There's a lefty on the mound. Who gives a shit? He can't hit lefties. He can't hit righties. He can't hit anybody. He can't hit me. And I've never pitched a professional baseball game a day in my life and never will. And he probably couldn't hit me. So with all due respect, what the fuck are we doing at this point? You're 13-20. You blink 3 times, you'll be 13-30 the way it's going. And for Brandon Hyde, a little FYI, these are some current MLB players at the age of 22 or younger as left-handed hitters against left-handed starting pitching since the start of last season. James Wood, he of the Washington Nationals, 162 plate appearances against lefties. He's hitting .272. Pete Crow Armstrong, 121 plate appearances, hitting .248. He of the Chicago Cubs. Jackson Merrill, 163 plate appearances, hitting .239. Compare that to Jackson Harden, who's only had 58 plate appearances. He's hitting .121. I mean, he's not a robot. He's not going to all of a sudden be great at hitting lefties by clicking his heels 3 times, wishing, hoping, and praying on a whim, and all of a sudden, poof, magically it's going to happen. Now, a stat that does go in Holiday's favor, who has the hardest hit percentage, if you care about that stat, the hardest hit percentage out of all those 4 players? Jackson Holliday at 38%. Give him a damn. It can't get any worse than what it is right now. Opposing starting pitchers through 64 in the third innings are pitching to a 1.54 ERA, a whip of 0.78, and an opponent batting average of 165. At what point can we stop the charades and lock in and get serious before this season goes to hell in a handbasket in a nanosecond? Can we stop? Can we stop? And again, Brandon Hyde, his obsession with losers. And that's what Brandon Hyde is. He's nothing more than a grade A, bona fide first-class loser. And an idiot. And an insane idiot of epic proportion. Because not only does he continue with the whole Mateo and Holiday machination against lefty starting and pitching, somebody is going to have to explain to me why in the fuck he thought it was a bright, intelligent, useful, productive, and winning idea to put in Charlie fucking Morton, who is a starting pitcher at the age of 41 years of age that has an ERA of infinity, who they had to take out of the fucking starting rotation a little over a week ago. He had to take out of the starting rotation, who's a washed 41-year-old bum who has an ERA through the fucking roof into space, outside of the atmosphere, outside of the fucking Milky Way galaxy. Why in the hell did this babbling moron decide to put in Charlie fucking Morton in the 8th inning of a 2-run game of a rubber match before an off day against a team that they had to beat to give themselves some fucking momentum entering into their 6-game road trip. Can somebody with a brain and with a working set of eyeballs explain that to me, please? I beg of you, somebody make sense of this shit. Somebody. You win that game. You win back-to-back series on the homestand. You go 4-2 on the homestand, beating two solid ball clubs that made the playoffs last year, entering into a road trip against the underwhelming Minnesota Twins and the floundering, troutless LA Angels of Anaheim. You can't make any sense of this shit. And that's where I lose my patience and I lose my ability to understand with the aloof Brandon Hyde defenders out there. Because that's not a fucking Mike Elias decision. Like Mateo, is it Elias' fault that Morton's on the team? You're damn right it is. But Mike Elias' job is not to make the calls to the bullpen during the game. That's not his job. That's not his responsibility. At the end of the day, he is not a reliever. He's a starting pitcher. His job is to come in and get the third or the fourth or the fifth inning when a starting pitcher gets knocked out of the game early or has got a high pitch count and the game is somewhat still in. That's the job of the relegated starting pitcher, to pitch in those situations, not to pitch in the eighth inning, high leverage of a 3 or 2 or a 1-run game, losing or winning when you have an off day the next day. That's not his job. Mike Elias is not making those calls. Brandon Hyde, the manager, is making those calls. That's where I lose my patience. It's a Mike Elias fault that he won't swallow his pride and admit his loss and cut his loss by DFAing his ass. That's Mike Elias' fault. But the brain-dead idiot that put the relegated starting pitcher in a tight game of an eighth inning of a rubber match game before an off day and an ensuing road trip, that, my friends, is the fault of the field manager, not the general manager. Because I swear to you, man, this team really, 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 really is testing my patience and raking my last nerve. Because like with Mateo, the same thing applies here. You do not have to be a baseball savant to know that Charlie Morton has exactly 0.000000000 business in pitching in, I should say, the eighth inning of a 2-run game. I don't give a shit if it's against the Colorado Rockies on opening day. He has no business pitching the eighth inning, especially after what we've seen from him as a starter and then coming out of the bullpen in Detroit and then coming out of the bullpen earlier this homestand. If anybody, find somebody from the upper deck to pitch. Find Mr. Splash to pitch. Anybody but Charlie Morton. Especially when you had rested arms in your bullpen because of Saturday and Friday's starting pitchers going deep into their respective games because they were both low-scoring pitching duels. And listen, maybe I'm engaging in wishful thinking with saying that the Orioles probably would have won the game if Charlie Morton doesn't pitch. At the end of the day, who knows? We don't know. Who knows? Maybe we do, maybe we don't. But I tell you this, our chances are better in the bottom of the eighth and in the bottom of the ninth to at least get the game tied, if anybody but Charlie Morton's pitch in the eighth, a la, I don't know, Gregory Soto. Literally, all the positive vibes and the bells and whistles and the optimistic hope and promise that the Yankee series win and the Friday win against the Royals bought, all of that flushed down the toilet clean in a span of 2 games, 2 days, back to back, in large part because this manager, yet again, has no idea what the fuck he is doing.
Brandon Hyde, shit.
Say it again.
Brandon Hyde, shit.
One more time, he didn't hear you.
Brandon Hyde, shit.
It's exactly what it is. Brandon Hyde is shit. Brandon Hyde is shit. He is shit. He always will be shit. He will forever be shit. And it drives me up the fucking wall that he is still the manager of my baseball team. We can quibble and we can talk about Mike Elias and the moves he made and didn't make, blah, 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 blah. I said it, I tweeted it out yesterday after the game. I'll say it here on the air. Should the Orioles have the best record in all of baseball, which is like 23-10? No, they shouldn't. But and with this roster, they're not a 23-10 baseball team. They're not. They're not. And I got no problems with being honest and full transparency saying that they are not a 23-10 baseball team. But under no circumstances, with the talent that this team does have outside of the atrocious rotation, there is no way in hell this team should honestly be 13-20 through their first 33 games of the season. Are they a 20-13 team through the first 33 games? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Should they have the record of the likes of the Padres and the Dodgers and the Mets? Hell no. Hell no. And I won't without hesitation be the first one to tell you that. But this team has been poorly coached into a 13-20 record. Piss poor starting rotation be damned. Why? Because of the Mateo Holiday snafus that I just previously illustrated and with putting in Charlie Morton into a 2-run game. That game, I don't know if, again, wishful thinking, I'm grasping at straws, whatever. But if you thought that game was safe, down 7-5 with the Orioles still having 2 at-bats to work with, you must be hella confident, must have been hella confident in the Kansas City Royals winning that game yesterday. Because no lead throughout 75%, the first 75% of that game, no lead was safe. Royals scored first, Orioles answered right back in the second. Orioles scored in the third, Royals scored 2 in the fourth, Orioles scored one in the bottom half. Royals scored a run in the fifth, Orioles scored 2 runs in the fifth. It was a back and forth ping pong game through 6. Through 6, it was back and forth. And Brandon Hyde essentially, I'm out of tissues. I got it. He essentially waved the white flag and gave up in a winnable rubber match affair against his Kansas City Royals in his own home ballpark with an off day looming and a majority rested bullpen. And he pitched Charlie Morton down 2 in the 8th inning. If that, again, said it on Twitter, say it here. If that isn't a fireable offense, like on the spot, like 10 minutes after the game is over, fireable offense, I don't know what the hell is. Because there is no rhyme, reason, or explanation as to why he did that shit. None whatsoever. He can spin it and give me the word salad answer after the game, whatever. He can give me that bullshit till the cows come home. Literally one ear and out the freaking other. One ear and out the other. And his answer, on what he thinks about Charlie Morton, because he just can't do anything right at this point. Well, he's going to continue to get opportunities. It is what it is. He's going through rough start. He's going to work through it, blah, blah, blah. Oh, he's going to continue to get opportunities. At what fucking point and cost, Brandon? At what point and what cost? until the team is 10 games under 500. They're already at 7. They're a sweep away or losing 3 games before winning their next 1 or 2 away from being 10 under 500. Until the team's 10 under, 15, 20, 25, 30 games under, to the point where it's going to cost you your job mid-season, if not after the season. At what fucking point are we going to continue to go through with this goofy-ass, unproductive, unsuccessful, stupid-ass, insane hamster wheel charade with putting losing baseball players out there on the field that are literally screaming to the high heavens that they are not good, whether they be Jorge Mateo or how long are we going to continue to go through the charade? Until it costs you your job? So at what point? At what point? At the demise of the other 25 guys in the locker room? At the demise of the sanity of the fan base? At the demise of your own job? Going to continue to get opportunities. At what fucking cost, you moron? At what fucking cost? This team, its season, the fan base's sanity, or your job? At what point? Because the definition of insanity is doing the same damn stupid-ass thing over and over again and expecting a different result. At what point will he finally pull his head out of his ass? Again, this is the shit about him and how he manages games is what chaps my ass and why I have no tolerance for people that continue to defend this man. Because this shit ain't got shit to do with Mike Elias not replacing Corbin Burns. It does, but at the same time it doesn't. Because he knows that Charlie Morton is not, or at least he should know, that Charlie Morton is not a winning baseball player and provides no added positive value to this team. He doesn't. 1 bad start, fine. 2, okay. 3, it's frustrating. 4, 5, 6, 7, and so on and so forth. Please make this stop. Just because he's there doesn't mean he has to play him. Certainly out of the bullpen and a 2-run game in the 8th inning. It's just the cycle of insanity has got to stop. And by the way, for all you dopes that sit up here and tell me, oh, they play hard for Brandon Hyde. You want to justify Heston Kjerstad taking his sweet-ass time running that ground ball out? Just want to throw that out there. Just want to throw that out there because it's getting to a point where I sound like a broken record, and I'm running out of patience, and I'm running out of like care, because if they don't give a shit, why should I give a shit? Honestly, waving a white flag of a winnable 2-run game against a playoff team from last year that came into your building and kicked your ass. Have you no damn shame and pride? You ballless bastard. Have you no shame and no fucking pride?
Brandon Hyde. Shit.
It's what he is. Always has been, always will be.
Somebody gotta say it, man. Somebody gotta fucking say it.
Somebody gotta fucking say it, because this is breaching a point where where the level of negligence feels damn near intentional. It feels damn near intentional at this point. Like he's secretly trolling me and the rest of the fan base to get us riled up and pissed off because he finds a sick enjoyment out of it all. I don't know what the fuck to believe at this point. I really, really do. I really, really don't. I don't, because this shit is bat shit insane, bat shit crazy, and bat shit insane. Rangers GM Chris Young running out of patience. He won a World Series. Fired a hitting coach. Donnie Ecker fired a hitting coach. The Rangers have scored 3 runs or fewer in 15 out of the last 22 games. They've lost 8 of them. Had enough. Decided to kick the. He's not going to fire Bruce Bochy. Obviously, won a championship, but he kicked the hitting coach's ass out the door. He's got a pulse. He's not satisfied. He's not resting on his laurels, and he won a championship. These bums can't even be bothered to win a damn playoff game. What the fuck are we doing? But I digress. They put together another shitty road trip against the Twins and the Angels. They can stay in Anaheim for all I care. Stay there. And don't come back. Don't come back. This manager, man. He is as useless and as unproductive as the day is long. He has turned losing and being stupid while doing it into a fucking art form at this point. He really has. Really has. Bill Belichick, I don't know what the hell his deal is, but let me give a little heart-to-heart, man-to-man to Billiam Belichick, if in case he's watching. All likelihood he isn't. You need to wake up, pal. You need to wake the fuck up, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, touch your balls and realize, look yourself in the mirror and realize who the fuck you are. I've lost a little bit of respect for Bill Belichick. Grown-ass man in his 70s, no less, allowing himself to get punked, essentially, by some 24-year-old whippersnapper that don't know her ass from her elbow that's essentially running his life. This is to be quite candid, call a spade, who's running his life. Who is running his life. PR crap with the book, interjecting in the damn interview, having the emails with UNC CC'd, standing there being at the practice, wanted to be the executive producer of the Hard Knocks project. It's just, I would hope and I would expect a grown ass man in his fucking 70s who has given off the impression and the reputation of being the most alpha of alpha dogs within the history of the game of football, within the history of the National Football League, that has won championships left and right with 2 separate organizations, 2 as a DC, 6 as a head coach, been in football for damn near 50 years, if not exactly 50 years. Navy brat with his father's connection to Annapolis, with the Navy SEALs coaching teaching whole 9 yards. I would think he would have a little bit more self-respect of himself and, more importantly, his family and people that love him than to allow himself to get strung around like a dog on a leash by some 20 college graduate no-name. And I'm trying to be as respectful as I possibly can, but God damn it, I got no respect for women that carry themselves and act the way that this Jordon Hudson broad acts and carries himself. I got no respect for women like that whatsoever. You think because you're hot in your 20s that the world is your oyster and everyone should bow down to your altar and walk around thinking your shit don't stink. You better than everybody else. You're gonna walk with your nose and your head up in the air, like everyone is beneath and subservient to you because I am Jordon Hudson, college graduate, hot as hell, whatever the fuck. And if you ain't on my level, to hell with you. I got zero patience, zero respect, and zero tolerance for women like that. Women like her chat my ass to like Brandon Hyde. I got no tolerance or patience for him. I don't give a shit how hot you are. If she'd have ever interjected in my interview, if I was conducting it, I don't give a shit if it's CBS This Morning, 60 Minutes, or the NFL Today at 12:27 on a Sunday afternoon in the middle of October. If she'd have ever cut me off mid-interview, I'm simply interviewing Bill fucking Belichick, who was a champion and an all-time great when her ass was a fucking embryo in her mother's womb. If she'd have ever cut me off, woo! Woo! So shit. I wish I was conducting the interview and she'd have cut me off. I wished she'd have pulled that shit with me, because it'd have been the first and the last time she'd have ever pulled that bull jive with Jai Shields conducting the motherfucking interview. You best ask somebody. I am a nice guy, but I am not to be fucked with. I am not to be disrespected. I am not to be shown up. You got one motherfucking time, and it will be the last. And that is a goddamn promise. I wish she'd have pulled that shit if I was conducting the interview. We're not talking about that. Who the fuck are you? Who in the hell are you? Who in the hell do you think you are? Where do you get your balls? This is an A and B conversation. You see your scrawny, bug-eyed ass the fuck out of it. We're not talking about that. Fuck you. I'm interviewing Bill Belichick, not you. Bill Belichick don't want to answer the question. I'll have Bill, grown-ass man in his fucking son. I'll have him tell me. You don't speak for him. Bill Belichick speaks for himself. And if you're going to pull this fucking telephone game bullshit, we can shut this shit down right now, and I won't even entertain your ass in doing the motherfucking interview. I do not play. I do not play. I'd have shut that shit down right on the fucking spot. I got no tolerance for that shit, man. I got zero fucking tolerance. None. And I tell you something else. If Bill Belichick is so damn lonely and is so damn horny, he's got to basically eliminate and or compromise his personal standards, personal pride and ego to get with some 24-year-old hussy, then you know what? Shame on him. If he has to compromise his standards and his self-worth and his value to get with this one, because he's so damn horny and lonely for a woman's attention, then you know what? Shame the hell on him. Fuck that. We don't shame, we don't judge. Bullshit. We need to bring shaming and judging back. Quite frankly, if we brought shaming and judging back, maybe the world around us would be a little bit of a better place than it is today. If we brought back shaming and judging. Fuck that. I'm shaming the shit out of this. The both of them. This shit is so grotesquely inappropriate, weird, and disgusting. It damn near is criminal. Criminal. Damn near criminal. He was a whole grown-ass man in his fucking 50s when this broad was shitting her pants with her breath smelling like Similac. She's my generation, Gen Z, born in fucking 2001, is gonna sit up here and sit up here thinking she runs shit around here and gonna conduct a CBS Sunday morning interview. I'd have told that broad to go to hell and kiss my ass on her way there so fast it have made her damn head spin. It's like, what the fuck? The fuck?
You can't make this shit up. You can't make this shit up. You can't make this shit up. You can't make this shit up.
You cannot make this shit up. Can't make this shit up. Again, Bill Belichick, grown-ass man.
I'm a grown-ass man, dog.
He didn't hear you, Cedric.
I'm a grown-ass man, dog.
Bill Belichick, grown-ass man. The fact that he is allowing himself to get led around and punked like this is a damn shame and a disgrace. Couldn't be my father, I tell you that. Also, if I'm his son, I'm thinking this motherfucker is getting in the way of my inheritance. When he dies, his money, his assets, that shit is going to belong to me. Not some 24-year-old hustler wannabe that's fitting to mosey her way up on in the family dynamic, that's fitting to finesse that's fitting to finesse and hustle my father out of his earnings that he worked and sacrificed his life to get and earn what's rightfully his. I'd be damned. I'd be damned. Be damned. That shit have happened to me or my father. Be damned if that shit happens. So he needs a damn wake-up call, man. Because this shit is not healthy. I don't know if he is a simp or is going through some undiagnosed, trauma of early signs of dementia or elder abuse or what. But this shit is not healthy, nor is it appropriate. It's nothing positive. Nothing. Going to interject with HBO. It's HBO, for God's sakes. Going to sit up here and say, the only way we're going to do this Hard Knocks is if I'm the executive producer. HBO said, we're motherfucking HBO. You heard of us? The Sopranos? The Wire? All of our comedy specials, Curb Your Enthusiasm, Last of Us, Game of Thrones. Like, it's HBO. Like, we was the big motherfuckers on television before your ass was even a thought in your parents' mind. You're going to sit up here and tell HBO what the hell they going to do. HBO told her to kick rocks, and rightfully so. This motherfucker got to be stopped. She got to be stopped. Got to be stopped. And if I'm within Bill Belichick's inner circle, it's about time we have an intervention to come to Jesus moment before this shit gets real hairy, real quick. Because weird-ass machinations like this does not have a happy ending. It doesn't. Somebody need to give Bill Belichick a healthy kick in the ass. Pronto. And again, one more time. If he's that damn lonely and horny, he's got to sit up here and date a fucking 20-something-year-old fresh out of college. You know what? Shame the hell on him. And shame the hell on her for pulling her shiesty gold-digging bullshit. Shame the hell on the both of them. Girl got one time to sit up here and think she gonna run Josh Shields' life. Be out of there like fucking Roadrunner. Run for the exit so damn fast, wouldn't know what hit him. And that's what I suggest Bill Belichick do. Make like Roadrunner. Get the hell on out. Oh, my goodness. It's just, this life, man, crazy as hell. Even in the world of sports, crazy as hell. Anyway, it's enough show. Happy birthday to my brother. Talk to you guys on Friday. New episode of the I'm Telling TIS podcast. It's in the books. You like what you heard, please don't hesitate to subscribe down below or to one of the icons, I think, right here. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Threads at the J Shield. Until Friday, we are out.